Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBNradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Hour Studios in Hollywood, California. And that's Universal Broadcasting Network. And then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel called KCAA, AM 1050. FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and now everywhere syndicated on iHeartRadio. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. Although last week I had a little bit of a low talking voice, so I said we made an exception because I was channeling my inner Caitlyn Jenner. But I'm 88% back to what I was. So we can have that rule instilled again. No K words at all today. But we are doing our special last week of the month series called Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa. So if you are listening to this with kids in the vicinity, please do listen later. It does podcast onto YouTube, and you can listen to it when there's less children around. But I am determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. But before we get to our guest today, I wanted to give a peace shout out to several people. Let's see. I actually have them written down here. Last night was a fabulous night. I got to be one of the sponsors of the Newport Beach Film Festival and the Chinese Spotlight film, and it was absolutely fantastic. I want to give a shout out to Harold and Sylvia and Carla, as well as Matey Chow Win and Fernie. And it's always nice to be recognized and wanted a picture with, and so they made my day. But great thanks to Greg Schwenk, who did a great job again. We had a party at the Pacific Rim Showcase at the Design Center and had a great time. So peace in and peace out to you. Also, a peace shout out for great customer service. I want to give that to Gabby at 24 Hour Fitness, as well as to James at Mac Fusion for great customer service there. So, why sexual healing? Why do I even talk about that? It all started, I would say, a couple of years ago when I heard the statistic that up to 85% women actually faked orgasms, as well as were not comfortable or were embarrassed about how they look naked. I know that one. That's why I have a group on Facebook called Feel Good and Look Good Naked. So if you're trying to be on that journey, please do join that group. But I wanted to address openly this whole area of sex, of healing. If you need healing in the sexual arena, whether it's from trauma or it's just plain old, I'm not comfortable with it, if it was your upbringing in either religion or your culture, so that we had a place that we could talk about it openly, because I'm determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. And this week we have a really interesting guest for this series. And if I can find my where I sent my, here we go, updated script. because I had you correct your introduction because I liked yours better. Michael Brown is a national speaker, author, and attorney who helps his client get the right answer, not just the legal one, and avoid all the time, cost, and anguish of litigation. He specializes in business and transaction with an emphasis on the healthcare sector, such as physicians, hospital therapists, medical spas, chiropractors, and more. Whether it's developing business strategies, what's the correct legal structure, creating contracts, or other business forms, Michael will help to stay on the right side of the law. He's also worked in the Ventura County Public Defender's Office in sex crimes, which is therefore there he is here today with us, and is asked to be an expert or a talking head on that subject. So without further ado, please welcome to my studio Michael Brown.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marissa.
There we go.
Thank you.
And a little back story too. Michael has liked me literally, not romantically, although maybe, but he has liked me on social media for probably the last 6 months, or
at
least 6 months. And I started noticing, I always notice the repeat offenders, and I was like, who's this guy? And I looked him up, and it turns out he's been on radio many times on my syndicated station, my CNBC channel, KCAA, with Journeyman and with Linda Gross. And so I thought, well, let's see what he talks about. And he talks about sex. So that's why he is here to be my resident expert today. And the topic then is sex legislation and pleasure. So let's start with consensual sex. So apparently there are some states where there's still some laws against or for consensual sex. Let's start there.
Well, you would think that in most cases, consensual sex would be perfectly legal in all aspects, everywhere, between a man and a woman, or man-man, whatever the consenting adults are. However, there are many states that still have some very archaic, old Puritan laws on the books. For instance, in Iowa, the maximum length of time you can kiss in public is 5 minutes. And in Idaho, you can only show public affection for 18 minutes.
People actually time it? Is there a reason what happens after like 18 minutes? You blow up, or you blow, or something?
I like to think I last longer than 18 minutes, but
okay.
Generally, these are based on very archaic notions of public decency.
Okay.
And they've been just put on the books for a certain length of time, and no one is still around really to give us the rationale behind them.
Okay.
I have not heard of anyone in the last 10 to 20 years running afoul of any law, being prosecuted, arrested, etc., for violation of this type of law.
Okay, see, this is the brat in me, because I want to find out exactly where the laws are, and I'm going to go and I'm going to have a timer and see what happens when that happens.
Okay.
just to see. I know that's the brat. But anyways, continue, please.
Okay. In some states, it's illegal, obviously, if you're not married, to have sex at all.
So premarital sex is still a term in what states?
Those states are, like, for instance, Michigan.
Michigan?
Michigan. You can still be arrested for seduction of a woman, but a woman cannot be arrested for the seduction of a man.
Oh, there you go.
So in Michigan, if you're a guy, watch out. If you're a girl, go for it.
Has there been, a challenge to that law at all, or?
Not as of yet, and you'd be surprised. There are many laws that have been challenged on the federal level. For instance, probably the most famous one is the sodomy laws, which the U.S. Supreme Court has said that sodomy is not illegal. But yet there are many states which still hold and have sodomy laws on the books. Now, sodomy is defined in a whole variety of ways.
I was going to say.
Right.
Yes.
There was a gentleman in Georgia who was arrested for sodomy, which equated to oral sex.
Okay.
With his wife.
Okay. When? How long ago was this?
About 4 years.
4 years ago?
Yes.
But how would they know? Was it in public?
Not according to the case. It
What,
did
is
not
there
go.
people spying on you while you're having sex at home so that they know what you're doing? What?
It could be people bragging. Other people become jealous. A whole host of reasons of how the information gets to the police.
Okay.
There was a situation in North Carolina where a 19-year-old was having sex with an 18-year-old girl, perfectly legal.
Mm-hmm.
But because he also engaged in oral sex, he violated the sodomy laws and was arrested. And this was about 2 years ago.
In what state?
North Carolina.
These are both in North Carolina.
No, one was in Georgia, one was in North Carolina. I suspect that the father of the girl in North Carolina probably pushed the issue to get the young man arrested.
Oh, and out of her life, probably.
Yes, more than likely.
Okay, that blows my mind. That's unbelievable. 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And the verdict or the judgment? What happened?
He was basically put on probation for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Should have them
Fortunately,
up.
he didn't have to register as a sex offender or anything of that nature, which nowadays could be permanent.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to be the morality referee here, but that's unbelievable. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, now if you're in Mississippi and you happen to appreciate S&M, you are violating the law.
Okay, so
It's a complete ban.
A complete ban in Mississippi. And so does that mean if someone is on the internet and they go to a site that has that, are they violating something?
No. However, if you sell S&M paraphernalia, you are.
Okay.
Viewing it is not the same as committing it in Mississippi. I think that, at least in Mississippi, is an oversight on their part. They just haven't caught up with the times.
So Mississippi did not say we're going to be the only state that does not allow S&M.
Correct.
It was an accidental leave out in a list of things that they're not for or against. I'm trying to understand how this happened.
Yeah.
All I can think of is MISSISSI, no SMPPI, I guess. Okay, next.
All right. Well, some people like voyeurism.
Yes.
And they like to observe. And in North Carolina, believe it or not, a man cannot watch his own wife through the window.
Okay.
Even with her consent. Now, I can understand peeping Tom laws.
Right.
Those make perfect sense.
Yeah.
But if it is for your own pleasure and with the consent of the other party, what's the harm?
Stick to the indoor closet, I guess.
That's what I would suggest.
Okay.
Yes.
When was the last time that was challenged? Was there a challenge? How does this law even get on the books? Like, someone came up on someone looking through a window, which I can understand. There's a little bit of alarm that shouldn't be, right? But it's just interesting how you don't have any more details on that one.
No, most of these criminal cases are not appellate cases, so there's not a written judicial opinion on it.
Okay.
You just get the facts that this was the case, and this is how it was decided.
Okay. And it was decided
against him.
Against him. Wow. Probation?
Yeah. More than likely. You see, most of these morality or laws, excuse me, are punishable by.
I was a Freudian.
Yes. Freud would have a field day with me.
Yes.
Are generally punishable by 6 months or less in jail or $500 or less in fines.
Okay.
And the reason this is because if your penalty is 6 months or less, or less than $500 or less, you are not entitled to a jury trial.
So you don't have a choice. You
go before a judge, and you can try and plea your emotions, and say, "Come on."
Yeah.
But you don't have a jury there to sympathize with you.
Okay,
So,
got it. And if you've just tuned in and wondering why we're talking about S&M, Mississippi missionary and laws against voyeurism, yes, you are tuned into Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa every last week of the month special series where I'm determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. So we are talking out in the open of some of the finer points of law and sex with my special guest today, Michael W. Brown, who is himself a lawyer, not specializing in necessarily defending anyone here, but certainly has the information. He started in Ventura County in the sex crimes division, but now he is a normal, so to speak, lawyer. But he does have the goods, and so I invited him on to take my advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. So I'm sure I don't have to tell you to keep it dialed in here. So next, let's go to let's skip to cross-dressing, because I had a question from one of my listeners around cross-dressing, especially after that the film what is that, the Danish Girl and all of that. So at one point, I have to say, cross-dressing was actually in the DSM-3 as a mental disorder. Okay, so now it is not, is it? I haven't checked.
That is correct.
It is not, right? The DSM-5, I don't think it is.
It's a symptomatic, but it's not its own.
It's not its own
disease
diagnosis
code, right?
Right. Okay. So tell me about that.
Okay. Well, this is very interesting because of the LGBT community and gender identification.
Yep.
And so it's sort of a hot topic now, and it'll be real interesting to see over the next couple of years exactly how their movement for recognition and establishment of rights impacts these laws. But for instance, in Miami, and most of these are city ordinances as opposed to state laws.
Okay.
A man is not allowed to wear a strapless gown.
Okay. In Miami.
In Miami.
Okay.
Now, I'm not certain. I've never worn a strapless gown, so I don't know
but
the
one's
difference.
with straps, yes, but not a strapless. Okay.
Yeah. What is so offensive between a strapless and a strap gown? I don't know, but you may be arrested in Miami. I did not find any recent cases where someone has been arrested for that.
Okay.
But also, in Walnut, California, which is
very close by.
Very close to us, a man cannot cross-dress without the consent of the sheriff, which means basically what you have to do is you have to register yourself as a cross-dresser with the sheriff. And if you ever, for any reason, get
pulled over in the car,
or in the wrong restroom, dressed as the opposite sex, if you've registered, you're fine with the law. If you're not, then they can prosecute.
Okay. All right. Walnut, California. Do you know the reason why? So that they know where the cross-dressers are?
I think it's because they don't want peeping toms and other individuals to use that as a fake defense to basically attempt to commit some other crime, such as voyeurism under bathroom stalls, things of that nature, trying to get little children and things of that nature. And I'm certainly not saying anybody who cross-dresses has that proclivity.
Right.
But this is their way, and I'm not saying it's a bad way, of making sure that those who legitimately feel the need to cross-dress are doing so, and they'll be protected.
Right, right. Interesting. Yeah, I don't even want to go there, but I do hear some of my old Southern Baptist voices going on right now for my upbringing and morality and we're really grappling and including and valuing, and it's a new time in America, and I think in the vein of we're not talking about this in any way to make fun of either side, but it is really interesting how in some ways we can't move to a place of inclusivity and valuing diversity when we still have a strong that moral stance going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just, as you're reading it, I'm seeing the two very clearly set up against each other. So I'm just thinking about solution.
Well, you think about the historical aspect. Most of these laws were created in the 1800s, 1890s.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 70s, when the sexual revolution really took off, many of these laws were repealed.
Mm-hmm.
And they were repealed for everything that was considered sodomy. Now, sodomy included homosexual, oral sex. It also included certain aspects of, for lack of a better word, bestiality.
Mm-hmm.
Then, all of a sudden in the 90s, they found that they couldn't prosecute some of these deviations, such as sex with a corpse, things of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
because they had repealed those laws.
All of them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then in the early 2000s, you saw a lot of states reinstituting these type of laws,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
explains why Mississippi in 1998 passed their law about S&M.
Right. Yeah. It is one of those, I don't know, I guess it's the extreme, and that's why the show's about balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything's wrong or nothing's wrong. So what is right and wrong? With 50 Shades of Grey, certainly blowing the cinema wide open, I was kind of surprised. It really is like soft porn, and in some places not even soft. So that is now on the big screen. So we, it's an interesting time. I definitely, I don't have the answers. I know the one that feels the best to me is it's a personal choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel good without hurting other people, then I'm all about feeling good. But I know that not everybody would agree with me on that.
I think
rules.
everybody would, but where you really have an issue from a legal perspective is the question of, is what you're engaging in
Mm-hmm.
harmful?
Yeah.
And it's the question of harm.
Yes.
You look at prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
Two people who come to an agreement, this for that. Where's the harm? Well,
Right.
people say there's a harm to society.
Right.
It encourages sex slave industry.
Trafficking.
Right. There
Yep.
are so
Mhm.
it's more so not so much an interference with the pleasure. It's
Mhm.
the protection of the potential harm that they think the
Mhm.
activity can cause.
Yes, and with minors, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
and pedophilia, absolutely.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's in that way, law is good.
Yes,
Now-
occasionally there are. Yes.
That came out of my mouth. That's certainly a balanced statement there for all the lawyer jokes that are all over the place. But anyways, okay, so let's look. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I find very unusual is, for instance, adult toys.
Yes, that's a good one. I've tried to have a show. I really wanted to have a sponsored adult toy show with someone who is an adult toy maker come on the show. But because I do have cameras, it does make it a little more open as to what that could be defined as. So.
Well, let me tell you, in the state of Alabama in 1998,
Okay.
as well in Georgia, the sale of adult toys is strictly outlawed.
Okay, none whatsoever.
No.
Okay, so what about people who order it online?
Still, if it's
Confiscated?
shipped to that state, it's illegal. It
So they could get in trouble.
Yes.
Could the person buying it get in trouble?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so buyer and seller,
seller.
beware. All right.
Yeah. For instance, in Arizona, you can only own up to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, only 6.
Wait. Toys? Like
Toys.
So you can have toys, but you can only have 2
Right.
or 6.
In Arizona. And in Texas, you can have up to 6.
And does someone come and do an inventory, like on a monthly basis, about how many toys you have?
I don't know if I'd want that job.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want that job.
But it is interesting in Texas, and it's interesting because you raised that you wanted to have someone on the show who might be able to educate on it.
Right.
There was a woman in Texas just about 3 years ago who had an adult toy party.
Okay.
And while adult toy parties and the purchase of adult toys for the use of novelty reasons is perfectly acceptable, the use of self-stimulation or gratification is still illegal. And so...
Where?
In Texas. So needless to say, she was having this party, and 2 individual undercover cops came to the party, asked her about a toy, how it was used, and she explained how it was used,
Right.
and they arrested her on the spot.
Wow.
Now,
So they were undercover sex toy cops. There you go.
Yeah, I have no doubt that one of the neighbors got wind of the party.
And
And
set
dis-
her up. Set her
Right.
up. How long ago was this?
It's about 3 years ago.
Oh, geez. And what was her sentence?
She got a suspended sentence.
Suspended sentence, which means...
Basically, if you keep your nose clean for the period of time.
Oh, it's like Saturday
they
school.
Won't, yeah, they won't impose the sentence.
Okay. Wow. That at Texas, Michigan. Okay, I'm keeping
Alabama,
track.
Georgia.
Mississippi. I'm keeping track, right? Yeah. So we're not to move, and I'm remembering the color of these states, but we're not going there. Don't worry. I'm not going to cross that line. Okay. So go ahead.
Well,
let's go to So let's go to Tantra, because I actually one of my favorite co-hosts that comes on, Davy Ward, she's a tantric expert. So is tantric sex also illegal?
No, not per se. Tantra, Nuru, and regular massage therapy are all perfectly legal.
Okay. Never heard of Nuru.
Therapeutic. It's a Japanese body-to-body massage where both parties are unclothed.
Okay.
So what really makes it legal or illegal is whether or not there's a manipulation of the tissue for sexual gratification.
Okay.
Or the touching of
So where the massage is.
Yes.
Okay. So as long as you stay out of that area, you're okay.
Yes.
You're not going to get arrested.
Yes. And some states are very specific, saying no tushy, no breasts, no this, no that.
Okay. Oh, I was going deeper than that.
Hey, this is G-rated.
Yes, I know. I just said deeper. So, all right, and then so all states are good on those.
I've given you a generalization.
Okay.
Each state has its own laws governing massage therapy and what is and what isn't. Some states require masseuses to wear a specific white outfit.
Okay.
Others don't.
Okay.
Others say it's perfectly permissible to touch certain areas, such as the tush.
Okay.
While others say absolutely not.
Right. Cool. Well, I hate to take a break today, but we are. We're going to take a sponsor break to thank those who make this show possible. You are tuned in to Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, special guest Michael Brown. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out. Want to reduce your stress without taking a pill that has side effects? Want to learn how to meditate? Then contact Dr. Marissa Pei, also known as the Asian Oprah, and your cheerleader for more hope and happiness. To sign up for Balance on the Beach or in the beauty of Sedona today. Details at www.drmarissa.online, and get ready for happiness 88% of the time. That's drmarissa.online. Do you have a business or a plan to start one? Do you use contracts in your business? Make sure you do it right. Contact Michael Brown, a business and transaction attorney with over 20 years of experience. Whether it's selecting the right legal structure for your business, preparing or reviewing agreements, policies and procedures, or more, Michael's legal advice will give you the right answer to succeed, not just the legal answer. Call him for a free consultation at 949-636-8128. That's 949-636-8128. And welcome back. You are tuned in to my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Garage Studios in Hollywood, California with Universal Broadcasting Network, and then every Thursday at 7 with my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, FM 102.3, and everywhere now on iHeartRadio. And today it is the last week of the month, so we are talking sexual healing with Dr. Marissa, the new Asian Dr. Ruth, because I'm determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic, and we have been talking about sex and law and how many states are still kind of a little bit backwards or forwards in terms of the way they are limiting or trying to restrict sex. And we've already talked about consensual sex and adult toys, as well as some cross-dressing. We haven't talked about public sex, so let's go there.
Okay, public sex. There are people who derive pleasure from being able to engage in sex in public places, not necessarily in front of others or not necessarily to be seen by others, but primarily for the excitement of maybe being caught.
Mm-hmm.
So, many states have come up with various laws. For instance, in Indiana, Mississippi, and South Dakota, it is illegal for a man to be sexually aroused in public.
Okay.
So if you happen to be sitting there necking with your girlfriend and it becomes apparent that you're aroused,
yes,
you violated the law.
When your hair stands up on end?
Yeah, sort of.
Something else stands up on end?
Yes.
Yes. So then you can get arrested for that.
That is correct. That is
if
considered.
If she's sitting on your lap or if he's sitting on, then it should be okay. It's covered, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. And then other places?
North Carolina. It's very interesting how some states don't have a direct prohibition against sex in public, but yet they do identify certain places that if you are going to go in public, you can't have sex. For instance, in North Carolina, you can't have sex in a graveyard.
Okay, I can support that.
Okay. All righty.
Okay.
We won't be taking you to a graveyard then. All right.
No.
All right. In Montana, sex on your front lawn after the sun goes down
is illegal.
Is illegal.
But you can get
before the sun goes down. It's perfectly okay.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Now, is that like a mistake? Like they
I think at the time that the law was passed,
yes,
nobody would even consider doing it during the day.
See, because I just know as a result of this show, there are some warped people out there listening who are and brats and are going to go challenge some of these. Please don't. And if you do not say you heard it here, because I do not want to have to hire Michael for any other reason. So, all right.
Let me give my disclaimer. I am not advising or recommending.
Yes, please.
That you test the constitutionality of any of these laws. You might not win.
Yes.
So, for instance, in Arizona, you can have sex in a car unless it has a flat tire.
Okay, that's my favorite one so far. Okay.
I suspect their concern is that if you have a flat tire, many people would stop to give an aid assistance and might come across you in a compromising position, and that would not be nice.
Okay, that makes totally no sense at all. But okay, all right. So
Take
the
it
last
up with Arizona.
Yes, I will. Arizona, man, that free spirit don't want to do daylight savings time. So actually, I do a retreat in Sedona, Arizona. I'll have to make sure that my tires are not flat. But
my mother lives in Prescott, so I'll have to advise her.
Okay,
of that.
yes, please do. So last time that was challenged, was it challenged? When did that?
Not within the last 10 years.
Not in the 10 years. Okay.
Yeah. Now, some of these are relative to certain counties and cities and not statewide. The one about the vehicles and flat tires is a city ordinance in the city of Cottonwood, Arizona.
Okay. Been there.
Phoenix, go for it. Cottonwood,
Have as many flat tires as you,
You
want,
want.
anywhere else, just
That's
not
right.
cottonwood.
That's right.
Now, this almost sounds like, is this a course that you took in law school that is specific to sex crimes? It sounds like an elective. That would be a fun elective to take. Honestly, I'm thinking.
Well,
All right.
it wasn't at my law school. The law school I went to was Pepperdine.
Oh, okay.
And Pepperdine is based...
Pretty straight-laced.
Well, it's Church of Christ.
Oh, that's okay.
So
More than straight-laced.
It's straight from Texas, very Southern Baptist.
Okay.
Yeah. So, however, I did clerk up at the Ventura County Defender's Office in sex crimes, and that was a real eye opener.
Was it? Are you allowed to talk about any of those, or are you bound by
in generality? Yes.
Okay. What was your most interesting case there?
The most interesting one was a husband who had been accused of molesting his children by his ex-wife, and we found out that she had put the daughter up to making up these accusations in order to get full custody and to hurt him.
Oh, I'm glad that you found that out. That was not. How did that go about? Did they do the 760 evaluation with the child psychologist, or
they did? This actually came out in the preliminary hearing. The child was, I believe, 15 at the time, and we were able to show on cross-examination so many inconsistencies in her story.
Okay. The
fact that the other siblings didn't support it or verify any of her complaints.
Okay.
The prosecution just couldn't go forward. And he had just been remarried. He had just had a brand new baby. It was at that time that I thought, ooh, maybe I could do this.
Right.
You know, because you
in
saw
those cases where
yeah, but then there were times when we were defending a woman who was accused of raping her own mentally ill daughter.
Oh, and it was true.
Yeah, she was an aider and abetter. She had her boyfriend do it, and of course he absconded off to Mexico to avoid prosecution, and she was left to take the fall.
Yeah, and I'm glad those are coming up because I want to balance out the levity that we're having on some of these sex crimes and take a deep breath in and releasing peace and healing to anyone who has been a victim of sex crimes, because it is, that is the dark side. And this is honestly one of the reasons why I want to talk about it openly, is because when we don't talk about it and it is left in the dark, that's when things go wrong and they continue to get darker and deeper, and more harm is done. And so in some ways, being able to talk openly, I know I talk openly with my daughters about it and with her friends who don't feel comfortable talking about it with their parents, there's the relief that comes from being able to talk about something that is either good for you, right? And allowing women. I'm so blessed that the number of women who have called me or messaged me or emailed me and said, thank you for doing this series, because now I feel okay about even talking about it with a friend, and that I have a right to feel pleasure. It's okay, and I want to heal from my own sexual trauma. Men as well who have come out of the dark in terms of their own sexuality, because I talk about this openly, and I've had guests like Scott, who came on, who is transgender. All of that is the purpose of why we do this. So I'm balancing out kind of the levity from the original part of the show with the healing aspect.
Yes, and I can tell you from my experience there that the trauma from these types of crimes, violation of trust, all that runs very deep.
Yes.
And to be able to help someone realize they're not alone.
Yep.
And that the anger they feel or the disconnect that they feel,
the shame,
and the shame,
blame,
it's normal.
Yep.
How they get back to a point to where they can enjoy this feeling of pleasure, I leave that to the professionals. But it is a process.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And if you are one who has been molested or has been traumatized in this area, I actually have a past guest who came and was willing to come and go through a life balance coaching process with me on the air. And if you look for Chris on my playlist called Balanced Life Coaching, there's a series of, I think it's 6 weeks, where we go through the whole process. So if you're not ready to go to a professional, or if you have and you're still in pain, please do listen to those with some practical tools that you can and you deserve and are worthy of the beautiful pleasure that comes from connecting with sex, either self or with others. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of life, and I want you to experience that. All right, so let's see. I think we have time for one more area. Let's see, threesome, swaps, and swing parties. I think that's our last category.
Okay.
Okay, I got him to laugh. I told Michael at the beginning that Jarvis was going to have an interesting time with today's show, and there we go. There's that laughter I told you about.
Jarvis, do you want to tell us which one you're interested in?
Threesomes.
There we go.
Yeah, he's a man. Well, the thing is consenting adults having sex. Why is the law concerned? Well, what if it's more than just 2 individuals?
Yes.
You want to include an extra person, or you want to swap partners, or you want to go to a situation where there is multiple
Partners. Yes. And before you say this, I have to tell you a funny joke. I have to tell you, I had a guy on a sexual healing, and he said to me, "I'm poly." And I said, "You're kidding, so am I." I thought he was talking about Pollyanna. I said, "That's my middle name." And he goes, "Oh, great, you're poly too. That'll make it easier to speak about it." And then all of a sudden I realized, okay, go ahead.
Wow.
That was very embarrassing. And I'm not poly, for those of you, okay. Maybe on my bathtub list at some point, which is bigger than a bucket list, but it isn't now. Okay.
All right.
So go ahead.
Most states.
But I am Pollyanna. Most states are.
Most states, it's perfectly legal. It's not a violation.
Okay.
However, some states, such as in South Carolina, it's considered lewd and lascivious to associate in bed or cohabit together in a public or non-public place.
With more than one.
More than one person,
okay.
yes.
So
and anyone who
swing parties in North Carolina?
South Carolina.
That was South Carolina.
And believe it or not, Florida.
And in Florida.
Yeah, so if you go down to South Beach, you're going to see a lot of people arrested, I guess. I
guess.
Married couples cannot engage in open and lewd and lascivious behavior, according to the Florida statute. So that would cover that.
Okay.
Swing parties, some, I guess, from what I understand, actually charge an entrance fee.
Okay.
To cover either...
Wouldn't know.
I'll take your word for that.
I'm not crossing my fingers, am I? Okay.
And so in some states, to charge someone to come into a sex party might expose the owner of the house to claims of selling sex.
Okay.
But if it's no charge, then there's no foul.
Yes.
Okay. If you have it in a residence, there may be zoning issues. If you have a...
I want to buy a property that's zoned for swing parties
and
sex clubs. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Not in Florida.
No, never in Florida.
Never in Florida.
You pretty much want to stay out of the South.
Yes. Is that okay? For more than one reason.
Absolutely.
All right.
And then on the opposite end,
okay,
we have self-stimulation.
Okay.
Those who prefer to be alone.
Uh-huh.
And in New Jersey, you can actually get convicted 3 years, up to 3 years, for mutual self-stimulation. Meaning if you're in a room with someone else and you're both tending to your own needs.
Yes?
Yes.
You can get arrested for that.
Yes.
Okay. And is there like the last case on that, or was there anything you don't have any information?
Not
on
in New
that?
Jersey.
Not in New Jersey.
They're in the river somewhere.
Yeah. All right.
In Wyoming, it is against the law to entice, allure, instigate, or help a person under the age of 21 to self-stimulate.
So no training.
Not if they're under 21.
Okay. All right.
Which means up until 21, they might be doing it wrong.
Oh, I missed that one. That should have been mine. You beat me on that one.
Sorry about that.
Yes. Okay, we have time for one more.
Oh, well, let's see. There are many odd laws that cover all sorts of things, such as in Washington, you cannot give a ride to a sex worker. If you're an Uber or a Lyft driver and you happen to be transporting someone who is an escort, you could be caught violating the law for providing transport to a sex worker.
So they have to walk.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that is fascinating. Thank you very much for my Sex Crimes 101. You have it on the air now. Michael Brown, if you have need of a sex lawyer, he's actually not the one to call. But if you are a business owner, this is a side
I do
benefit.
have sex.
Do you? Okay. That was not part of the script. But anyways, how do people find you, Michael?
They can reach me at my website at mwb-law.net, or they can call me at area code 949-636-8128.
All right. And that is Michael Brown, my new friend, my sex expert in law.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, literally. It's your pleasure. It's my pleasure. I hope you had a great time with this show. And please do contact him if you have any legal needs. His Asian Oprah giveaway today is a free consultation. Don't tell anyone that anyone has a free consultation if you have any business needs or policies and procedures or setting up your own business. Michael is your man. So as per usual, our last thing to do is welcome to the Balance Bar, when I invite you to come and balance with me. The first thing is this Sunday is New Light Sunday at Agape. I am performing one more time with the fabulous Agape International Choir, and we welcome all our new lights, and then us veteran old flashlights are on stage supporting them. So tune in on Sunday, 3 services, www.agapelive.com. If you missed my first class last Saturday, you can still register for Balanced Tai Qigong and other balance tools to promote inner peace one breath at a time. I'm on faculty there as well, agapelive.com, and our makeup will be on the beach. So if you're not doing anything Saturday, join me. And as well, the round 70 of the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa starts up May 1st on May Day. So if you know anybody who really does need to keep their front door shut because they're complaining all the time, please send an invite to them at drmarissa.tv, as well as the number 4balance.org, and give them the free app that goes with the fast, 21-day fast at both stores. It's only 99 cents, and all proceeds go to my peace work across the planet. This year, I am leaving for India in less than 10 days, where I'm so blessed to get the Iconic Woman of the Year Award at the Women Economic Forum Conference, speaking there, as well as doing some work for MasterCard, and balancing all of that out by teaching in public schools for those who can't afford me, to just spread out that hope and happiness that I hope you know me for. As well, next week, let's see and make sure I've ever... Oh, and don't forget about Sedona. You still save $100 if you register before May 1st. A fabulous weekend, May 20 and 21st, in the beauty and the powerful vortexes of Sedona, Arizona, and no flat tires in Cottonwood. So next week, I have a treat for you. Bernie and September Storman, the founder and CEO of CEO Space International, rated by Forbes as the #1 business conference. Yes, I am now on faculty at that brilliant place. That's why I do have to go to Florida several times a year to go teach there. But it's a fabulous place. It's your time now. With all the uncertainty going on with business law, what's going on, you now have a resident expert to help you set up and a guest next week to talk about entrepreneurship. I saw a saying once, if you're not working for your own dreams, you're working for someone else's. So if you're tired of taking orders, if you're tired of working for someone else, you know you're not fulfilled, don't quit your day job yet. But tune in next week for Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, topic entrepreneurship. That's Dr. Marissa Pay. And just keep it tuned for another scintillating episode of Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. Until then, remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
To take away the part of me that wants to stay. It's all I want to hear my life and sing along. For without it, there's no laughter, no tears, the lonely days after, no